Hi, this is Dean Kobayashi from the NS Stick Channel. Welcome to the first NS Stick Channel episode. In this episode, I wanted to just do a brief talk about the instrument and why I chose the instrument. I have 5 main reasons why I chose this instrument, and I thought I'd share that with you because I think there's a lot of people out there who have done some research on the instrument, maybe trying to decide between the different stick instruments, the grand, the 10 string, the 12 string, the rail board, and the NS. Maybe you're just wanting to expand your instruments, come from guitar or bass, something like that, and have some questions. And all I can really give is why I decided on it. So the first reason I chose the NS stick was that it's a stereo instrument. What does that mean? Well, there's a bass side and a melody side on the stick. And so I can play bass lines and then also tap out or do other things, but play on the melody side with different sounds on each side. So I can have some wailing guitar-like sounds while I still have a solid bass groove going on. And that's really what I was going for. I've always played in bands where there's bass, guitar, and drums. And so I've had the concept of doing kind of a one-man band where you would have a guitar sound, drums, and bass all together, and even singing on top of that. And I wanted to be able to do that all by myself. So this really kind of works perfectly. The stick is a stereo instrument, so I can have guitar and bass all in one. And then what I do is I play with a drum track or a looper or a drum machine, something like that, and play along to that. And it's my one-man band, and it works for me. I think some other people might, choose to use a guitar and tune it down, and or use a bass and do tapping on a bass guitar. But having it in stereo means a lot to me, so that I can have those different sounds. Of course, you can play this as a mono instrument as well, and it's great to play just like one big instrument and get a very full sound from that as well. But for me, it was about having 2 very different sounds coming out of it. The second reason was tapping. Tapping, I had previous to this had very little experience on, and before I actually got my instrument, I had my bass guitar, and you can see them hanging over there. But I've been playing bass for about 20 years, and when I decided to move to the NS stick, I started trying to tap on on the bass guitar, and I found myself quickly injuring myself. Really, I was really in a lot of pain. My forearms were just aching all the time after that, and the tendons in my hands and everything was just nuts. So I knew tapping, I needed an instrument that was really meant for that, and so hence I came to the stick. But for me, I first started looking at all the different sticks, the 10 string or the 12 string, and that leads me to the next reason I chose the NS stick specifically was the tuning. The tuning on this is very familiar to me. It's tuned, well, I have it tuned in ascending fourths, just like a bass guitar. So it starts at the low B string and just works its way up just like a bass. So I've always been playing 5-string basses, so the top 5 strings are so familiar to me. And then you just add a few more strings on here, but it doesn't have, I don't have it with the guitar bump or the major third between 2 of the strings. And it's very familiar to me. All the chord shapes, the where the notes would be in relationship to each other is the same wherever you are on this instrument, whatever string you're on. So that was a huge deal for me. The standard stick with the ascending fifths tuning has its own benefits and reasons for doing it that way, but for me, that wasn't something I wanted to do, and I just couldn't wrap my head around that tuning. I was trying to visualize it before looking at the instruments or before choosing the NS stick, and it just wasn't something that was coming around. And since then, I've actually picked up a stick, friends and things, and still found it very difficult to get my head around it. And if I spent some time with it, I'm sure I'll get it, but I really wanted to hit the ground running, so that's why that was a big reason, the tuning of the standard tuning of this. Of course, people have done this in the different kinds of tuning where you can have fifths or have the guitar major third in there, and there's some wonderful players who do that. But for me, the standard fourths tuning was a major reason. My fourth reason for choosing this was it's a multi-mode instrument. That sounds really weird, but what that means is it's not just about tapping on this instrument. If you can see, the string spacing on the bass side is actually wider than the melody side, and that's really to accommodate plucking and slapping. And there was a video that I saw on YouTube that Don Schiff did. I'll post the link below, but it's he does everything on it. He's got all these techniques, and including slapping, and I was like, wow, and that really sold me, because I've done a little bit of slapping. I'm not that great at it, but it was something that I wanted to continue doing later on, even after just into this instrument, and I saw him doing that, and I was like, wow, that's really cool. And so that was one of the reasons that really sold me to going to this instrument. I have heard from guitarists and other bassists and things that for that same reason, because they want to pluck on it and they want to do some tapping on it, and without much effort into going from tapping to plucking, and you'll see that I've even seen guitarists who've picked this up and use a pick and just go at it from that direction, and then expanding into the bass range. I came from the other way, but it just seems to be one of the reasons that's not just specific to me, that people gravitate towards this instrument. Lastly, but not least, I think one of the reasons that I chose this instrument was that there's a community of like-minded, supportive people out there, and especially on the Stickist.com forums. And I remember before buying the instrument, I was one of those guys just looking through the forum, didn't participate or anything, but I just kind of fingered through it and read other people's posts and see what they're saying. And also ultimately a place where you can find an instrument too. There's a whole classified section, and I just knew that once I picked up the instrument, that I could find support through that. And there's not a lot of people who have this instrument, so you might have a hard time finding an instructor or someone to learn from. And I highly recommend trying to find somebody, even if it's a Skype lesson or something. When I first picked up my instrument, I happened to take a business trip to Los Angeles, and at the end of my day, I went over to see Don Schiff, and he gave me a lesson, or we had a lesson, where he just kind of got me understanding the instrument better, and really just got me going from there. And it was and something like that was just priceless, really was. Even just one lesson was a huge deal to getting me going. I do have a background in playing the bass guitar, like I said, for a while, and so Don, also coming from the bass side, really helped me out. But he plays a lot of instruments, so but I highly recommend doing that. And however, even without that, the community on Stickist is just tremendous and wonderful, wonderful place. And you won't believe it, but the big name guys that we see in the stick world also post on there and answer your questions and things. And so even Emmett Chapman is on there and putting his comments and feedback on videos or performances or people's questions, and it's great. So those are my main reasons for picking up the instrument. It's because it's a stereo instrument, for tapping because it's the tuning of it, multi-mode instrument, and the community, especially through stickus.com. So I hope this helps somebody out there who's looking into the instrument. There's tons of information about it. Of course, go to stick.com, to the Stick Enterprises website, and you can see all the details about the instrument. But I hope my comments and the reasons why I picked the instrument might help you to decide to either pick it up or maybe not, or either way. Of course, I'm available. If anybody has questions, please leave comments in the comments section below and ask questions there. And I hope we can get a conversation going. Thank you for watching, and please leave comments below. Please subscribe as well. It's down here somewhere. And feel free to ask any questions. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.